for the governor is not present before the House, and I therefore call upon the mover of the motion, Honorable Dennis Tiogora, DMK, to reply. Honorable DMS Tiogora, please take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to use the debate table to...
Please do, please do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the honorable members of this House for ventilating on this motion and for the great support that the honorable members of this House have given this motion. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all the members for the patience that they have exhibited, despite the fact that the first motion that was introduced to the House was quashed by the court, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, the letter that even was read by the Honorable Speaker in this House from the governor's lawyers, that letter is null and void ab initio, because the orders that were issued on 30th November were specific to the motion of 30th November, not to this motion that we have here today. This is a different motion. The one that was quashed disappeared. So, Mr. Speaker, there is no way it could be the motion that the letter the lawyer is purporting to have been addressing. And there is no letter from any lawyer that can give a governor or the president immunity against impeachment by this House or Parliament. There is no letter that can overrule the Constitution of Kenya, particularly the provisions of Article 181 that provide for the procedures of the impeachment of the governor and the requirement for the impeachment of the governor. There are no protections that can be given by any letter written by anybody or by any directions that the lawyer is purporting to have come from the court. There is no court that can give an order that an order of a court cannot supersede, Mr. Speaker, the provisions of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the members of this Honorable House have every legal backing to debate this motion, Mr. Speaker, and to vote on it. And if I can jog the members of this House memories, 10 years ago, Mr. Speaker, the then Deputy Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, one Dr. Nancy Balaza, who has taught me some law in Parklands, Mr. Speaker, resigned from office because she had a small altercation with a watchman at a shopping mall in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, and a quote came from that altercation whereby the Deputy Chief Justice, Mr. Speaker, told the lady, "You should know people." And just because of that simple act of saying you should know people, she was removed from office. Mr. Speaker, we have demonstrated in this House through this motion various misdoings and various misdoings that the governor has committed by breaking the law, the Constitution, national laws, county laws, Mr. Speaker, which supersede the little act that, if you compare the acts of our governor and the acts of the Deputy Chief Justice Nancy Baraza, Mr. Speaker, what the Deputy Chief Justice did was child's play. It is a small thing, Mr. Speaker. Yet, she was removed from office by the established mechanisms of the Constitution, Mr. A tribunal was formed. She took the report of the tribunal to the Supreme Court, to her colleagues, to review it, and they were unable to help her. She had to go. Mr. Speaker, in 1989, some of us in this assembly were not born. There was a vice president of this country known as Dr. Josephat Karanja. He resigned from office, Mr. Speaker, because Parliament was about to pass a vote of no confidence on him, because he had required the then Embakasi Member of Parliament, one David Mwenje, to kneel before him to make his request, Mr. Speaker. If the Vice President of Kenya many years ago could be removed from office because of requiring an MP to kneel before him, How about a governor who requires an MCA to apologize for reasons unknown, Mr. Speaker? How unaccountable can someone be if we let her go with all these misdeeds that she has committed, Mr. Speaker? Why should we look the other side, Mr. Speaker? When she is doing them, and the following day she does them, when is she going to stop, Mr. Speaker, if this House does not hold her to account? Therefore, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, to address the lawlessness that has been exhibited by the Kawira Mwangaza government, Mr. Speaker, I beg this House to vote yes to the impeachment motion, and Kawira must go. To redress the nurses who have been denied a chance for promotion because she has appealed the decision to award them promotions, Mr. Speaker, Kawira must go. To stop the illegal roadside appointments in Meru County, Mr. Speaker, that we have seen in this motion, Kawira must go. To stop the vilification of leaders in Meru County, Mr. Speaker, Kawira must go. To bring unity that the governor is talking about, Mr. Speaker, there cannot be unity with Kawira, Mr. Speaker. To bring unity, Kawira must go first. To restore Meru County, Mr. Speaker, to its former glory, Mr. Speaker, where Meru County is respected, Mr. Speaker, Kawira needs to go. To redress the honorable members of this House, Mr. Speaker, who have been abused, Mr. Speaker, who have been called cartels, Mr. Speaker, who have been called thieves, Mr. Speaker, who have been told that they are looking for something to eat, Mr. Speaker, when they call for accountability, Mr. Speaker, who have been called foxes, Mr. Speaker, by our able governor, Mr. Speaker. To redress them, Mr. Speaker, and to heal their pain, Mr. Speaker, Kawira must go. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude my remarks before this House, Mr. Speaker, and moving the motion on impeachment, I urge this honorable House, by looking at even the contributions of members of public from the public participation forums that were held yesterday, Mr. Speaker, the foregoing evidence that has been attached to this motion, Mr. Speaker, to vote yes, Mr. Speaker, to the impeachment of Meru Governor, one Honorable Bishop Kawira Mwangaza. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable DMK. And this juncture, the mover having replied on the contribution that has been made on the floor of the House. Now, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 54.2, I now put the question, which is, whereas Article 10 of the Constitution, Section 3 and 16 of the Leadership Integrity Act 2012, the Leadership Act, and Section 9, 10, and 12 of the Public Offices Act 2003 establish, among others, the rule of law, democracy, human dignity, courtesy, respect, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, probity, professionalism, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, good governance, transparency, and accountability as part of the national values and principles of governance. Articles 10, 7.3, and 7.5 of the Constitution require state officers at all times, whether in public or private life, to behave in a manner that, among other things, brings honor to the nation and dignity to the office that a state officer owns. 1, ensures decisions are not influenced by nepotism, favoritism, or any other improper motives. 3, demonstrate discipline and commitment in service to the people. And 4, avoids demeaning the office that is a state officer owns. Article 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, and Section 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act 2012, the County Government Act, provide for the values and the principles of public service and establish an elaborate framework for the establishment of county public offices and the recruitment, employment, and dismissal of county public officers. Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Government Act, and the Standing Order number 65 of the Standing Orders of the County of the Assembly provides for the impeachment of county governors for, among other things, 1, gross violation of the Constitution, 2, gross violation of any other law, 3, abuse of office, and 4, gross misconduct. The governor has engaged in multiple and discreditable acts that severally and collectively amount to 1, gross violation of the Constitution, 2, gross violation of various national and county laws, 3, abuse of office, and 4, gross misconduct. The discreditable act have expressed the office of the governor, the assembly and its leadership, and the people of Meru County embarrassment, ridicule, and disrepute. Discreditable acts have created a toxic environment in which the governor cannot be legitimately expected or relied upon to work harmoniously with staff and elected leaders at the national and the county levels of government. And the governor's continued stay in office under the prevailing toxic environment will inevitably undermine effective and efficient service delivery and thus hurt the interests of the people of the county. The Assembly resolves to impeach the governor under Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Government Act, and Standing Order 65 of the Standing Orders of the Assembly on the following grounds: nepotism, illegal appointments, and of dismissal, and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of county organs. Appointment of husband to county offices. On or around 30 September 2022, the governor engaged in 1, gross misconduct, 2, grossly violated Articles 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, 3, grossly violated Section 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act, 4, grossly violated Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act, and 5, grossly violated Section 6 and 11 of the Meru County Youth Service Act 2018, and grossly violated Section 4 of the Public Appointment County Assemblies Approval Act 2017 by A, appointing a husband to the non-existent position of the patron of the Meru Youth Service before conducting a transparent and competitive recruitment process. B, appointing a husband to be appointing a husband to the non-existent position of the Meru Asoras ambassador before conducting a transparent and competitive recruitment process. C, disregarding the criteria for the establishment of offices within the county public service. D, failing to submit a husband's name for approval by the assembly before making the unpunched appointment. E, the appointing Rufus Milita as the county secretary without the approval of the assembly. F, appointing the foreign and qualified persons to hold county offices without undertaking a transparent and competitive recruitment process. 1, Munene Samaritan as Director of Special Programs. 2, Ernest Mutembei as Director Monitoring and Evaluation. 3, Enere Mzungu as Director of Administration. And 4, Hilary Sandi as Director of Communication. G, usurping or thrashing the constitutional and statutory functions of 1, the Assembly, 2, the Meru County Public Service Board, and 3, the Meru County Youth Service Board. Evidence of the governor: 1, gross misconduct, gross violation of Articles 10, 232, 235, 236 of the Constitution, gross violation of Section 17 of the Public Offices Act, 4, gross violation of Sections 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act, 5, gross violation of Section 6 and 11 of the Meru County Youth Service Act 2018, and gross violation of Section 4 of the Public Appointment County Assembly Approval Act 2017 is set in the videos saved as Annex 2, appointment of husband, Annex 3, appointment of Rufus Militi, and Annex 4, appointment of Hilary Sandi in the first disc presented here with the transcript. Translations of these videos are attached as Annex 2A, Annex 3A, Annex 4A to the affidavit sworn by Dennis Kawira MK on 21st November 2022 in support of this motion. The affidavit in support of the motion, further evidence is in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission data dated 19th October 2022 and a screenshot from the governor's Facebook page, respectively attached as Annex 5 and Annex 5A to the affidavit in support of the motion, round-signed appointment of county workers at Mau. On or around 22nd September 2022, the governor grossly violated A, Articles 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, and grossly violated Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and the 65 of the County Government Act by A, appointing firefighters at a public rally at Mau in misguided and unsweetenable populism before conducting a transparent and competitive recruitment process. B, subjecting potential applicants for any county jobs to public humiliation by converting the crowd at the public rally as the advertising, recruiting, shortlisting, and appointing authority. And C, usurping and trashing exclusive constitutional and statutory mandate and the functions of the Meru County Public Service Board. Evidence of the governors: 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, and 2, gross violation of Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act is set in the video and is saved as Annex 6 in the first disc presented here with. The transcript translation of the video is attached as Annex 6A to the affidavit to the motion. Round-signed appointment of county workers at Nkobo. On or around 9th September 2022, the governor engaged in 1, gross misconduct, 2, gross violation of Articles 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, and 3, gross violation of Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and the 65 of the County Government Act by A, appointing market guns at a public rally at Nkobo in misguided and unsustainable populism before conducting a transparent and competitive recruitment process, and B, usurping exclusive constitutional and statutory functions and mandate of the Meru County Public Service Board. Evidence of the governors: 1, gross misconduct, 2, gross violation of articles of 1, Article 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, and 3, gross violation of Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act is set in the video saved as Annex 7 in the first disc. Presented herewith, the transcript translation of the video is attached as Annex 7 to the affidavit in support of the motion. Round-signed appointment of county workers at Kianjai. On or on 9th September 2022, the governor engaged in 1, gross misconduct, 2, gross violation of Articles 10, 232, 235, 236 of the Constitution, and 3, gross violation of Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act by A, illegally directing one and sub-county administrators to employ sweepers and market guns at a public rally at Kianjai in misguided and unsustainable populism before conducting a transparent and competitive recruitment process, and B, directing one and sub-county administrators to usurp exclusive constitutional and statutory functions and mandates of the Meru County Public Service Board. Evidence of the governors: 1, gross misconduct; 2, gross violation of Articles 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution; and 3, gross violation of Sections 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act is set in the video saved as Annex 8 in the first list presented herewith. The transcript translation of the video is attached as Annex 8A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Illegal Committee on the Meru Municipality. On or around 21st October 2022, the Governor: 1, grossly violated Articles 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution; 2, grossly violated Section 12, 14, 15, and 20 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act; and 3, grossly violated the charter establishing the Meru Municipality by A, illegally appointing a committee to manage Meru Municipality affairs at a public rally at Kinoru, yet the function is vested in the Meru Municipal Board. B, directing the aforesaid illegal committee to usurp the functions of the Meru Municipal Board. C, usurping the functions of the Meru County Public Service Board. D, trashing the procedures for the appointment of county public officers. And E, spewing the hate speech against the G4S company. Evidence of the governors: 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution; and 3, gross violation of Section 12, 14, 15, and 20 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act is set in the video saved as Annex 9 in the first list presented herewith. The transcript translation of the video is attached as Annex 9A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Incitement, bullying, vilification, and misleading campaigns against other leaders. The governor has: 1, grossly violated Article 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution; 2, grossly violated Section 19 of the Public Office Act; 3, grossly violated Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act; and 4, repeatedly engaged in gross misconduct by A, holding public vilification, incitement, and humiliation rallies against members of the County Assembly and other elected leaders; B, falsely accusing members of the Assembly and other elected leaders of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation; C, holding public vilification and incitement rallies against the Catholic Church and the Catholic clergy; and D, inciting the public against the members of the Assembly and other elected leaders, well knowing that church conduct can easily trigger violent reactions and pose serious breaches of the peace. Evidence of specific illustrative examples of the governor's vilification and incitement campaigns against members of the Assembly and other elected leaders are outlined in paragraphs 7 to 12 below. Humiliation of the minority leader. On or around 24th October 2022, the governor: 1, grossly violated Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution; 2, grossly violated Section 19 of the Public Officer Ethics Act; 3, grossly violated Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act; and 4, engaged in gross misconduct by A, bullying and inciting the public against the minority leader and the member of Assembly for Akidi 1 under Mutembei, the minority leader, at a public rally held at Meru Mcas. B, requiring the minority leader to make a public apology for unknown and disclosed wrongs at the public rally held at Meru Mcas. C, voluntarily grabbing a microphone from the minority leader at the public rally held at Meru Mcas. D, offering to protect the minority leader against the Speaker of the Assembly from unknown and undisclosed dangers. And E, falsely accusing the members of the Assembly and other elected leaders of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. Evidence of the governors: 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, gross violation of Section 19 of the Public Officer Act. 3, gross violation of Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, gross misconduct is set in the video saved as Annex 11 in the first disc presented herewith. The transcript / translation of the video is attached as Annex 11A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Verification of Minority Whip and other leaders. On or around 25th October 2022, the Governor, 1, grossly violated Article 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, grossly violated Section 19 of the Public Officers Ethics Act. 3, grossly violated Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, engaged in gross misconduct by A, inciting the people against the minority whip and the member of Assembly for Bogota West Ward, Honorable Dennis DMK, the minority whip at a public rally held at Ngongo in Bogota West Ward. B, falsely accusing the minority whip of stoning R, and C, falsely accusing the member of the Assembly and other elected leaders of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. Evidence of the governors: 1, gross violation of Article 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, gross violation of Section 19 of the Public Officers Ethics Act. Gross violation of Section 29 and 34 of Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, gross misconduct is set in the video saved as Annex 12 in the first disc presented herewith. The transcription and the translation of the video is attached as Annex 12A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Verification of the Senator of Meru County. On or on 12 September 2022, the Governor, 1, grossly violated Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, grossly violated Section 19 of the Public Officers Act. 3, grossly violated Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, engaged in gross misconduct by A, inciting the people against the Senator of Meru County, Honorable Kaduri Murongi, at a public rally held at Tilare in Tunene Ward. B, falsely accusing the Senator of demanding a chair of county government appointment. C, falsely accusing the Senator of antagonizing and creating a wedge between the Governor and the President of the Republic of Kenya. And D, falsely accusing the Senator of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. Evidence of the governors: gross violation of Article 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, gross violation of Section 19 of the Public Officers Act. 3, gross violation of Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, gross misconduct is set in the videos saved as Annex 13 in the first disc presented herewith. A transcript / translation of the video is attached as Annex 13A to the affidavit supporting the motion. Verification of the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture. On or on 12 September 2022, the Governor, 1, grossly violated Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, grossly violated Section 19 of the Public Officers Ethics Act. 3, grossly violated Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and engaged, and number 4, engaged in gross misconduct by A, bullying and inciting the people against the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Honorable Franklin Mithika Linturi, at a public rally under Atilare in Intunene Ward. B, falsely accusing the Cabinet Secretary of demanding a share of county government appointments. C, falsely accusing the Cabinet Secretary of antagonizing and creating a wedge between R and the President of the Republic of Kenya. And D, falsely accusing the Cabinet Secretary of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. Evidence of the governors: 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, gross violation of Section 19 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. 3, gross violation of Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, gross misconduct is set in the video saved as Annex 13 in the first disc presented herewith. A transcript / translation of the video is attached as Annex 13A to the affidavit supporting the motion. verification of the MP for Tigania East constituency. On or around November 9th November 2022, the governor and husband, 1, grossly violated Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, grossly violated Section 19 of Public Officers Ethics Act. 3, grossly violated Section 29, 34 Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, engaged in gross misconduct by A, inciting the people against the member of parliament for Tigania East constituency under Mporo at a public rally held at Mbaranga in Karama Ward. B, falsely accusing the MP for Tigania East of demanding that the governor appoint the MP's wife as a county executive committee member. C, falsely accusing the MP for Tigania East of demanding that the governor pre-qualifies a store of companies for the award of county tenders. D, falsely accusing the MP for Tigania East presenting fake pending bills for payment by the county government. And E, falsely accusing the MP for Tigania East of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. Evidence the governors and the husband. 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, gross violation of Section 19 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. 3, gross violation of Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And the 4, gross misconduct is set in the video saved as Annex 14 in the first list, presented here with the transcript and translation of the video is attached as Annex 14A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Verification of the Catholic Church and the Kiranchi. On or around 17th October 2022, the Governor 1, grossly violated Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, grossly violated Section 19 of the Public Officers Ethics Act. 3, grossly violated Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, engaged in gross misconduct by A, inciting the public against the Roman Catholic Church and the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Meru, Mr. Salesius Mugambi, at a public rally held at the former Igoji Boys Secondary School. B, falsely accusing the Catholic Church of grabbing public land. C, falsely accusing the Catholic Church of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. D, conducting a mock prayer to demean and humiliate the Catholic Church and the Catholic clergy. And E, inciting the people against religious leaders while knowing that church conduct can easily trigger violence, reactions, and pose a serious breach of the peace. Evidence of the governors. 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, gross violation of Section 19 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. 3, gross violation of Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And 4, gross misconduct is set in the video saved as Annex 15 in the first list presented herewith. Transcript and translation of the video is attached as Annex 15A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Forceful entry into the Assembly, presence and the mobilization of unlawful riot against members of the Assembly. On or around 19th October 2022, the Governor and the husband, 1, grossly violated Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, grossly violated Section 5 and 7 of the County Assembly's Powers and Privileges Act 2017. And 3, engaged in gross misconduct by A, forcibly entering the presence of the Assembly. B, falsely accusing members of the Assembly and other elected leaders of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. C, organizing a violent demonstration against the members of the Assembly at the Assembly presence. And D, addressing a riotous crowd at the presence of the Assembly. Evidence on governors and husband. 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution. 2, gross violation of Section 5 and 7 of the County Assembly's Powers and Privileges Act 2017. And 3, gross misconduct is set in the video saved as Annex 16. Transcripts and Annex 17 in the first disc presented herewith. The transcript / translation of the videos are attached as Annex 16A and Annex 17A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Violation of public finance management laws. On 6 September 2022, the Governor, 1, grossly violated Articles 201 and 207, 1 of the Constitution, 2, grossly violated Section 109(2) and 159 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, 3, grossly violated Section 12 and 14 of the Public Officer Ethics Act, 4, grossly violated Section 16 and 35 of the Leadership Integrity Act, 5, engaged in gross misconduct, and 6, engaged in gross abuse of office by A, directing the Meru Teaching and Referral Hospital to spend all the revenue at source, whereas all monies leased or received by or earned by the county should be paid into the county revenue fund. B, issuing waivers on fees at the Meru Teaching and Referral Hospital, whereas the County Executive Committee member for Finance is the only person legally empowered to grant such waivers, and C, directing county government officers to participate in furthering and advancing the interests of Ita TV, a media station owned by Mwangaza Advertiser Limited, a private company owned by the Governor through our close relatives as proxies. Evidence of the Governor's 1, gross violation of Articles 201 and 207, 1 of the Constitution, 2, gross violation of Section 109(2) and 159 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, 3, gross violation of Section 12 and 24 of the Public Officer Ethics Act, 4, gross violation of Section 16 and 35 of the Leadership Integrity Act, 5, gross misconduct, and 6, gross abuse of office is set in the video saved as Annex 18 in the first disc presented herewith. A transcript translation of the video is attached as Annex 18A to the affidavit supporting the motion. Further evidence is in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, letter dated 19 October 2022, and the document attached as Annex 18B and Annex 18C to the affidavit in support of the motion. Misconduct relating to the nomination of CECs. On or around 8 November 2022, the Governor engaged in 1, gross misconduct, 2, grossly violated Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution, 3, grossly violated Section 10(1) of the Public Appointment County Assemblies Approval Act 2017, and 4, grossly violated Section 3, 4, 10, and 11 of the Meru County Detention Enhancement Fund Act 2016 by A, verifying members of the Assembly for refusing to approve some County Executive CEC nominee at a public hearing held at Kiangwa in Igoji West. B, falsely accusing members of the Assembly of changing custom chain and other nominees for appointment to the CEC. C, illegally instructing custom chain to usurp the statutory functions of the Igoji West Warrant Retention Enhancement Fund Committee by identifying the persons that would benefit from county bursary funds. D, failing to submit names of the other candidates to the County Assembly for approval for appointment to the CEC after the Assembly injected some nominees. E, the organizing a government to 6 departments and 3 CEC members after the injection of some nominees instead of submitting names of other candidates to the County Assembly for approval. And F, swearing to appoint to a government and actively work with the rules of the 2022 county elections instead of the newly elected MCAs to steer Lagos within the Assembly. Evidence of the Governor 1, gross misconduct, 2, gross violation of Articles 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution, and 3, gross violation of Section 10(1) of the Public Appointment County Assemblies Approval Act 2017 is set in the video saved as Annex 19 and Annex 20 in the first disc presented herewith. The transcripts of the videos are attached as Annex 19A and Annex 20A to the affidavit in support of the motion. Honourable members, this brings a question that has resumed of a vote by 2/3 of the members, that is 69 honorable members of this House. Voting will be done through roll call. Voting where honorable members will be called in alphabetical order, and when so called a member will declare from where he or she sits that either I vote aye, or I vote nay, or I abstain. I now therefore call upon the sergeant at arms to ring the division bell for a period not exceeding 10 minutes. Yes, Leader Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm raising on a point of order that pursuant to standing order number 31.3, this Honorable Assembly extends its sitting time from 6:30 p.m. until such a time when the business of the day will be done, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is necessary because we are entering now the voting phase, and in case Honorable Speaker, in case our time elapses, which should be elapsed at 6:30 p.m., maybe there are members who might not have taken their vote. Therefore, it is necessary that we extend time, Honorable Speaker, and I wish to invite Honorable Ali to second the motion.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Leader Majority. Please, Honorable Ali, take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to second the motion on extension of time. As we near the most critical part of this motion, voting, so I stand to second.
Thank you, Honorable Mwendari, the Deputy Speaker. Pursuant the provisions of Standing Order number 54.1, I now propose the question which says that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 1.3 of this Honorable Assembly extends its sitting time from 6:30 p.m. until the County Assembly is done transacting the business before it. And the question has been put, then any member wishing to contribute can catch the Speaker's eye. Yes, Honorable Aurelio Murangiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to support the motion by the Majority Leader. Due to the magnitude of the issue at hand, I think we should extend the time for this sitting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Aurelio Murangiri, and honorable members, please be guided that when the bell is ringing, no member is supposed to move out. You can only get in, but you can't get out. Any other contribution of the same? Yes, Honorable Elijah Kimathi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the Ngada Ward.
I'm Elijah Kimathi, representing the people of Ngada. I supported the motion for the extension of the time to 6:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, the motion is to extend the sitting from 6:30 up to when the House finishes the business. Please be clear. Please be clear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the correction. I supported the motion that we extend from 6:30 until we finish the service.
Very correct. Thank you, honorable member. Any other member wishing to contribute on that? Then, yes, Honorable Kidinji, Rolera. Yes, Kidinji, take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My name is Felix Kidinji, Wirigi, representing the great people of Riru Arera. I beg to support. We extend the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other contribution? Then, being there no contribution, then I call upon the mover to reply. Honorable Leader Majority, please take the floor. Thank you, the leader of majority. Pursuant the provisions of Standing Order number 54-2, I now put the question, which is that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order number 31-3, this Honorable Assembly extends its sitting time from 6:30 p.m. until the County Assembly is done transacting the business before it. We will, as many of our similar opinions, say aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Thank you. Clerk, can we continue?